always say you can start, yeah. So do that, read. If we would describe.
If we would describe the gnosis as it is in its own awareness, not thus imperfectly as it is to us, in contrast with our own reason and intelligence, it is hardly possible to speak of it except in figures and symbols. First we must remember that the Gnostic level, Mahat Vijnana, is not the supreme plane of our consciousness, but the middle or link plane interposed between the triune glory of the utter spirit, the infinite existence, consciousness, and bliss of the eternal, and our lower triple being and nature. It is as if it stood there as the mediating, formulated, organizing, and creative wisdom, power, and joy of the eternal. In the gnosis, the Chidananda gathers up the light of his unseizable existence and pours it out on the soul in the shape and power of a divine knowledge, a divine will, and a divine bliss of existence. It is as if infinite light were gathered up into the compact orb of the sun and lavished on all that depends upon the sun in radiances that continue forever. But the gnosis is not only light, it is force, it is creative knowledge, it is the self effective truth of the divine idea. This idea is not creative imagination, not something that constructs in void, but light and power of eternal substance, truth light full of truth force, and it brings out what is latent in being. It does not create a fiction that never was in being. The ideation of the gnosis is radiating light stuff of the consciousness of the eternal existence. Each ray is a truth. The will in the gnosis is a conscious force of eternal knowledge. It throws the consciousness and substance of being into infallible forms of truth power, forms that embody the idea and make it faultlessly effective. And it works out each truth power and each truth form spontaneously and rightly according to its nature. Because it carries this creative force of the divine idea, the Son, the Lord, and symbol of the Gnosis is described in the Veda as the light which is the father of all things, Surya Savitri, the wisdom luminous who is the bringer out into manifest existence. This creation is inspired by the divine delight, the eternal Ananda. It is full of joy of its own truth and power. It creates in bliss, creates out of bliss, creates that which is blissful. Therefore, the world of the Gnosis, the supramental world, is the true and the happy creation. Ritam Bhadram, since all in it shares in the perfect joy that made it, a divine radiance of undeviating knowledge, a divine power of unfaltering will, and a divine ease of unstumbling bliss are the nature or prakriti of the soul in Supermind, in Vijnana.
Yeah.
The stuff of the Gnostic or
That's
supramental state.
that is the next para, Archana Devi.
Okay. I have the old book, in that
Oh,
it is in the same paragraph. Okay. I
okay.
have the SABCL.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, we stop here. So,
Yeah, it's a very long para. That's what I was wondering. Okay,
yeah.
Ranga.
So, very interesting and very, very precise, he's saying. Very interesting things also. We'll have a look at what he's saying. If we would describe the gnosis as it is in its own awareness, not thus imperfectly as it is to us in contrast with our own reason and intelligence, it is hardly possible to speak of it except in figures and symbols. So, in other words, there are two ways of knowing the supermind. One is to take your consciousness into the supermind. Yasmin, good morning. She has just joined. Okay.
Bonjour. I
Bonjour.
don't have the book with me.
Okay, so you have to follow. Okay, we
I
are
just
reading.
listened.
Yeah. Okay, we have just started the. We have read the para. We are going to discuss the para now. So, if we would describe, there are two ways of knowing the supermind. One is we are in our normal consciousness, and by some mental idea we are trying to understand it. Okay, that's one way. The other way is to take your consciousness into the supermind and identify yourself with it and know it. These are the two ways he is describing. And he is saying that if we go into the supermind itself, it is impossible to put it into words. It is so vast and so different. Okay, that's what he's saying. If we would describe the gnosis as it is in its own awareness, in other words, our consciousness has gone into the supermind and become one with the supermind, that is one experience of the supermind. The other is imperfectly from our lower level we are understanding to a certain extent. Okay? As it is in contrast with our own reason and intelligence. So, if it is so, it is hardly possible to speak of it except in figures and symbols. So, this is the, you must remember that communication is a very interesting actually a subject, it's a huge subject. Communication, okay, information. How do I communicate with others? It starts at the lowest level by no communication at all. In the inconscient, there is no communication. Then, when life starts, there is communication through gestures and sounds. Okay, an animal does not speak, and even trees, they communicate with each other through vibrations. Okay, that is a fact. Okay, they have seen that even trees convey dangers to other trees by vibrations. They understand. Just like animals also, when they see a threat to their, when they see a predator coming, a lion or a tiger or anyone, they start shouting and communicating to others, say there is a danger. So communication at first is nil, zero. Then when it comes to the first life forms, it is by vibrations. Then it comes by sound. Okay. Dogs and cats, with their sounds, you can make out what their emotions are. When they are angry, they have one type of sound. When they are very loving, there is another. When they are suffering, there is a whining of the dog. So sounds convey also. When it comes to man, we use words, but words also can be distorted. Then when you go to level 2 of the spiritual planes of consciousness, again you identify yourself with it. No words are necessary. You just identify yourself with the mind of others and you know their thoughts. So again, you go back to the consciousness. So finally, at the highest level, even words are not enough. So this is what Swami is saying. So you have to use symbols, and symbols have to be interpreted correctly. This is the importance of symbols. And all visions in spiritual experience, they come through symbols. Okay. And you have to understand what the nature of symbols are. There is a very interesting section where Swami is describing 3 types of symbols. I won't go into detail, but I'll just mention to you. One is there are symbols which are personal to you, not applicable to anybody else. For instance, I'll just tell you, suppose one of my friends is very angry, okay? He has got anger, all the time he's getting angry, okay? Then, and suppose you see that he is dying, okay? I'm using an extreme just to explain to you. Suppose you see that this person is dying, it means you see a vision or a dream in which he is dying, it means that the anger in you is dying. So that is personal symbol. Okay. Then there are universal symbols. Okay. Like the sky is infinite. It is universal. Everybody can understand that. The sea is infinite. It's a universal symbol. Okay. Then there is conventional symbols which man has made. Okay. If I lift up my finger, I know I want to talk. Okay. So, or take a traffic light. It's a conventional symbol. Red means stop. Green means go. So these are conventional symbols. So this is what, there are 3 types of symbols. So all truth of the supermind and even the spiritual planes of consciousness, level 2 also, you have to use symbols only and figures. So this is what he's saying. And first, I go to the second sentence. And first, we must remember that the Gnostic level, and he has used 2 words. He has used Gnostic, which is his own word. Mahat is there in the Sankhya philosophy. Mahat or Mahas. You can also put an S there. And Vijnana, which is there in the Advaita philosophy. Okay, so all same, it means the same thing. Supermind, it means. is not the supreme plane of our consciousness, but a middle or a link plane. We must not make supermind is a very high level of plane, but it connects the unmanifested with the manifested. It is a supermind that allows the unmanifested to manifest itself. You can also use the image of again the image to make it very clear. The prism. This white light is unmanifested. Whatever is there, all the colors in the white light does not get manifested unless it hits a prism. The prism is the supermind. And below the prism, the 7 colors come out. Okay, so that's the manifestation of the unmanifested white light. So this is supermind. It's a link world. That's what Swami is saying. It's not the highest. Not clear. The highest will be absolutely impossible to describe. It is abstract, totally featureless, and impossible to describe. Anil Vachaniya, ineffable, if you want, cannot be spoken of. And that's what he's saying. So, and first we must remember that the Gnostic level, the Mahat Vijnana, is not the supreme plane of our consciousness, but a middle or link plane interposed between the triune glory of the utter spirit. The triune glory of the utter spirit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words, one word replacing it, Satchidananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda. That's what he's meaning. So why is he not saying Satchidananda? Because he is saying that it is glorious. It is also giving information that it is utter spirit, absolute. And it is threefold, triune. It is not 3 different things, but 3 melted into one. That's the information he's giving you. That's why he uses different words. And he's interpreting in English also. He's saying the infinite existence, Sat. Consciousness, Chit. And bliss of the eternal Ananda. And our lower triple being and nature. Which is our lower triple being? My body, my life, and my mind. So, at the highest level, Sat, Chit, Ananda. And at the lower level, body, mind, life. And it is linking the two. The body, mind, life, the consciousness can come out of level 1, which is body, mind, life, and go to level 2 and even rise to level 3. He is talking of level 3. There's a level 4, which is an unmanifest. Okay. So, this is what he is explaining so clearly. The lower triple being and nature. As it is, it is as if it stood there as the mediating, formulated, organizing and creative wisdom, power and joy of the eternal. Look at each word and see what he is giving so much information about the supermind. First of all, it is mediating. It is allowing a communication between the highest Satchidananda and the lowest body, mind, life, nature. Okay. Then it is formulating. Now, formulating, giving it a form, allowing it to take a form. Our body is a form, our vital is a form, our mind also is a form. Universally also, matter corresponds to body, prana corresponds to the vital, and the mental, the mana, okay, that also corresponds to our mind. So it is formulating. That which is formless is being formulated, given form by the supermind. So below is the forms, above is the formless. Then it is also organizing. So organizing means it is not a chaotic formulation. It's a very linked and organic formulation. Organic means there is a cooperation. There is a constant link between all the organs. So organizing, although the word means something else, but it comes from organ. Okay, so all the organs are working together as one. There's a harmony in it. It's not a chaotic production. Next, he's saying that wisdom is this creative. In other words, this wisdom, this knowledge, Chit, has also got power in it. So he's using the word creative. It can create. Okay, power and joy of the eternal. So the description is absolutely detailed. First of all, it is allowing the formless to become form. Then it is giving it a very, very clear forms and the forms are all harmonized and purposeful, and it is also power. The wisdom is power. So very clearly the description. Then we go to the next sentence. In the gnosis, Satchidananda gathers up the light of its unseizable existence and pours it out on the soul in the shape and power of a divine knowledge, divine will, and divine bliss of existence. So what's he saying? In the gnosis, that's supermind, Satchidananda, which is above it, okay? You can experience it below also, but the real Satchidananda is above this supermind. Gathers up the light of its unseizable existence. You cannot, if it is formless and if it is absolute, how are you going to? You are limited and that is unlimited. So the limited can never seize and possess the unlimited. That's what he's saying. By the light of the unseizable existence. So supermind catches it and pours it out in the soul in the shape and power of a divine knowledge. So look at that shape. Earlier he has said formulating. So it is giving it a shape. Okay. So each word you will see is so precise. You can't have a shape without giving it a form. So he has told you earlier formulated. Now he is telling you in the shape and power of a divine knowledge. And what is those shapes? Divine knowledge, divine will, and divine bliss of existence. This is what it gives to the soul. It is pouring out on the soul. Does the soul really realize and know that? Not at the lowest level. The soul is sleeping and is quite unconscious of the knowledge being given to it. Also the will that is there, it is not aware of it. Neither the divine bliss of existence. Slowly, when the soul rises out of its sleep and unconsciousness, it realizes and can experience this knowledge, will and bliss in bits and pieces until finally it goes to the highest level. It can become that knowledge, become that will, and become the divine bliss. Now, I go to the next sentence. It is as if infinite light were gathered up into the compact orb of the sun. He is giving you image. He has told you that I can only explain it through images. So this is the image. The infinite light above Satchidananda is gathered up into the compact orb of the sun. So here it is, all the light that is infinite and diffused, if you want, is made compacted, it is densified into the sun, and from the sun it is coming. Sun is a symbol of the supermind, remember, wherever it is there, even in the Vedas and in those language, it is the sun is the supermind. It is that which gives the light to the world. It is as if infinite light were gathered up into a compact orb of the sun and lavished on all that depends upon the sun in radiances that continue forever. Now, there is another thing. It's not that the sun is gathering and giving you in time. It is outside time. It is continuously happening. Okay? It is going on lavishing. And the word lavish, there is no limit to it. It is showing abundantly. It is giving you knowledge. That you are not receiving is not his fault. Okay? Lavished on all that depends upon the sun in radiances that continue forever. So this is a eternal and infinite movement. Constantly, the supermind is throwing the Satchidananda into the lower existence, into the body-mind life. There is a connection between the two. Sat becomes body, Chit becomes the Chit. Science is also creative knowledge, but it is limited. This supermind knowledge is infinitely creative. That's the difference. It is the self-effective truth of the divine idea. Now, here is another thing which we have to understand. There is an, even at, if you compare with our level, it becomes very clear. I have an idea. Okay, take the case of Ratan Tata. He had an idea that he wants to make a car which is available to the common man. He said, I'll make a car for only 1 lakh of rupees. So many people will be able to afford it. That was the idea. But he had the power to do it, and he did it. So that's what is meant by self-effective truth. Okay, it can become a reality. I can have an idea, but it may not become a reality. But the supermind, whatever its ideas are, whatever the seed is, it can become a reality. That's what he's saying. Okay, this idea is not creative imagination. It is not a static imagination. It is not something that constructs in a void, but light and power of eternal substance. Now, this is a very interesting thing. He is saying we often think of the divine as abstract, okay? Ideas. We think that they are only ideas, but no. Vitality, mentality, even the divine, there is a substance with which he is creating. It is matter at its subtlest level. Okay, this is what we have to understand. Okay, our consciousness also, there is substance in it, and when you purify the substance in your body, it comes out as all sorts of things. It comes out into the body. Okay, these are experience which happens when you are purifying yourself. It comes out in the body in different ways. I told you about Themiben. It came out in the form of eczema. Okay, for others it can come out in other forms. Okay, it can come out, but that's what happens when you purify something. It comes out. So this is it's an eternal substance. The creation is not abstract. It is substance. So clear. We have to give full value to the word substance. Substance at the grossest level is matter. Substance at the subtlest level, as it keeps going up, it becomes subtler and subtler and subtler, just like ice, water vapor, it becomes subtler. And that subtlest is Sat. Okay? This is what he's saying. Truth light is also a truth light, full of truth force. Again, he is repeating, but now he is using the word truth light and truth force. It is absolutely real. Okay? It is not just mere imagination. He has told you, it is not creative imagination. It is much more than that. It is truth light and truth force. Okay? And it brings out what is latent in being. So what is being created is not something new that is being created. It is something that is already there and it is being given form. Just like the mango tree is not something coming out of the seed by chance. It is already there in the seed and it becomes a mango tree. Okay, that's what he's saying. It does not create a fiction that never was in being. He's contradicting the Mayavada theory. It does not create a fiction that never was in being. Being, existence. Here it means existence. The ideation of the gnosis is radiating light stuff of the consciousness of the eternal existence. Now, what is this ideation of the gnosis? It's at our level, the ideas are ideation is conception. Okay? You conceive of an idea, okay, in the mind, that is the ideation. But in our case, the idea may be abstract, it may not find a reality, it may not become a truth. I want to become an engineer. Ideation, I have an idea, okay. I can make it a reality if I have the will, but I may not have the will, therefore it won't become real. But in the gnosis, every ideation becomes a truth in the physical world. That's what he's saying. The ideation of the gnosis is radiating light stuff of the consciousness of the eternal existence. Again, eternal existence is substance. Eternal existence with an E cap is a substance, but subtlest substance. Each ray is a truth. Okay. Now, each ray, again, the idea that the one becoming the many. The sun is one, but all its rays in many other images, 1,000 horses, they are all coming out of the sun. The sun is the source of all the rays coming out. Each ray is a truth. Okay? And that truth at the highest level can be any idea of philosophy, and then when it comes down to the physical world, it gets a little distorted, but it has a chance to fulfill itself. That's why all the ideas that are there, even wrong ideas, are only distortions of some truth. No idea in the physical world, however false it be, is completely devoid of truth. It is not so. There is an element of truth in every idea. That's what the Big said. Each ray is a truth. The will in the gnosis is a conscious force. It's not mechanical force like in the world. Mechanical force. The wind is blowing, mechanical force. The sun is coming, mechanical force. Not there in the supermind. The force is fully conscious of what it is doing. Okay. Of eternal knowledge. The will in the gnosis is conscious force of eternal knowledge. It knows exactly what it is doing. It throws the consciousness and substance of being. Now note that again. The insistence on absolute substance, consciousness and substance of being into infallible forms of truth power. Infallible will never fail. It will become absolutely, it will realize itself. Of truth power. Power also can go into wrong channel, but this is always going into truth. Forms that embody the idea and make it faultlessly effective. And it works out each truth power and each truth form spontaneously and rightly according to its nature. Now you may ask a question, if it is producing all truths, how on earth does it become a falsehood at the physical level? Because you must not forget the other principle that we always speak about, the one becoming the many, the formless becoming form in the lower level, then the distortion and the diminution. You must remember that. Okay? There's a diminution. Knowledge starts diminishing itself and becomes the ignorance. Power starts diminishing itself and becomes here powerlessness. And Ananda starts diminishing itself and becomes here pain, pleasure, and indifference. Okay. So that's why.
Vedant,
Yeah, tell me.
I have a question. Then why power start diminishing itself? Everything diminishing itself. Why?
I've told you that, and I will repeat again. Okay. When the infinite formlessness has to become form, is there not a limitation? I gave you the idea of the infinite clay. It is formless. You remember that? It is formless. It is infinite without form. But when it has to manifest pots and pans out of that clay, what do? You take a little bit of that infinite clay and give it a form. Are you not diminishing it? So, so remember that manifestation implies limitation and form. That is why there is a diminution. Okay, clear?
Okay.
Otherwise, there
Yes.
can't be any manifestation. There cannot be a word. It has to be necessarily be limited.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so this is what happens. So Surendra is saying, but all that he is describing here is at the highest level. Infinite power, infinite truth, infinite knowledge, infinite will, infinite ananda at the highest level. Okay. Now, according to its nature, because it carries this creative force of the divine idea, the sun, the Lord and symbol of the gnosis, there you are, okay? The sun is the symbol of supermind, is described in the Veda as the light which is the father of all things. Surya Savitri. Now, this is not Savitri, huh? Savitri is the daughter of the sun. But Surya Savitri, yeah, in English we can't put the short sa, but that is what you have to do, because Savitri, okay? The wisdom luminous, who is the bringer out of into manifest existence. Again, he is telling you that is a link word. It is bringing out the into manifest existence. What is it bringing out? Wisdom luminous. Okay. This creation is inspired by the divine delight, the eternal ananda. So there is a knowledge which has got power and it is creating because it wants ananda. Whenever there is a creation, even in the physical world, when you are creating, there is always a joy. When you succeed in creating something, there is joy. Take the poet, take the artist, take the sculptor, even the architect When he's creating something, he's very happy when he completes it. Okay, so you can even extend it to even the when you are creating a baby, everybody is happy. Somebody new has come into the world. So joy and creation are always together. So the whole world is being created. The only purpose is joy. He has told you that very clearly in the life divine. Okay, so joy, bliss. Therefore, the world of the gnosis, the supramental world, is a true and happy creation. Ritam Bhadram. The word Bhadram will correspond to the English auspicious. Okay. The Bhadram, auspicious. Since all in it shares in the perfect joy that made it. A divine radiance of undeviating knowledge. In the supermind, it is undeviating, but when it comes down to the physical world, it deviates. Okay? It becomes lessened and it goes all into many. The one becoming the many, there is a deviation. When the one is becoming the many, each one is going in its own direction, so it is deviating. A divine radiance of undeviating knowledge in the supermind, a divine power of unfaltering will, absolute power and will, and a divine ease of unstumbling bliss. He is using three words: undeviating for knowledge, unfaltering for will, there is no hesitation, and an unstumbling bliss. It doesn't stumble, there is absolutely perfect. The nature of Prakriti of the soul in Supermind, in Vijnana. So, this is the description of the Supermind as contrasted with the human mind. He has given a very, very clear picture of what it is. Okay. So, but we have to pay full attention to all the words. Substance, okay. Then undeviating, full, self-existent. All these, each word we have to give. Then we understand what it is. And also he is telling you that the symbol that we use for the supermind is the sun. Okay. So we have got about a little less than 15 minutes. We have got 12 minutes or so. So we'll read one more paragraph. The stuff of the Gnostic or supramental plane. So, since Yasmin was not there yesterday, but today she is there, Yasmin can read. Oh, you don't have the book. Okay. Then either Sunki or she. Sunki has not read. So let's Sunki read today. The stuff of the Gnostic or supramental plane.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The stuff of the Gnostic or supramental plane is made of the perfect absolutes of all that is here imperfect and relative, and its movement of the reconciled interlockings and happy fusions of all that here are opposites. For behind the appearance of these opposites are their truth, and the truth of the eternal are not in conflict with each other. Our minds and life's opposites transformed in the supermind into their own true spirit, linked together and are seen as tones and coloring of an eternal reality and everlasting ananda. Supermind or gnosis is the supreme who is the unfettered time of the eternal, who is timeless, the supernal harmony of all
Sunki, what's happening to your
absolutes
internet?
of the absolute.
So,
It's not. It doesn't sound clear. Again, sorry.
no, it's okay. But South Korea is supposed to be.
I think I did.
The internet is supposed
No.
to.
I think I didn't update. I think I need to update the Skype. I think I may have missed that. Sorry. I will do that.
Okay, no problem. It's a very small para. We'll look at it. Okay, and pay full attention to the words. The stuff of the Gnostic and supramental plane. So, Gnostic or supramental. In other words, supramental and Gnostic are the same. Stuff. stuff, again we come back to the idea of substance. How much importance there is. The divine is not something vague, hazy, abstract, okay? It is real. It's a stuff. The divine is substance, okay? That's what he's saying again and again. The stuff of the Gnostic or supramental plane is made of the perfect absolutes of all that is here imperfect and relative, and its movement of the reconciled interlockings and happy fusion of all that here are opposites. Very interesting words, and it gives you a picture. So, first of all, he's saying in the physical world there are opposites that we know. If there is truth, there is falsehood. If there is kindness, there is cruelty. If there is good, there is also the bad. Okay, so all these are mixed at the lower level. Why? Because the one is becoming the many, and when it becomes the many infinitely, opposites also come into being. Very easy to understand. Okay, so this is what he's saying. But these opposites at the highest level in the supermind are all perfect absolutes. In other words, we have a very common idea which is called the archetype. The archetype of everything in the physical world is there in the supermind. It's the idea. And I like to use the word blueprint, okay? Because the blueprint is what becomes the building in the physical world. So it's the plan of whatever is to be created, that's the archetype. The archetype is the perfect form, the perfect absolute of that which is distorted or limited in the physical world. But now he is saying, very interestingly, these opposites are really, what are they? Are they really opposites? They are reconciled interlockings and happy fusion of all that here are opposites. So, there is an interlocking. The word interlocking is very interesting. In other words, in the physical world, if there is good, there is bound to be bad. If there is light, there is bound to be darkness. So they are interlocked. There is no escaping. If you have pleasure one day, you are sure to have also suffering. Okay? But in the highest level, they are not reconciled interlocking, but they become happy fusions. That which seems to be opposites here are in perfect harmony with each other at the highest level. In other words, they are not opposites but complementary aspects. Very interesting words, reconciled interlockings in the physical world. They are always locked together. But at the highest level, they are happy fusion. That happy fusion is also there at the overmind level. That's why Sri Aurobindo would say that all the philosophic ideas, okay, Mayavada, Buddhism, okay, Advaita, Dvaita, okay, all these ideas are all reconciled. That means there is no opposition between them. They are only different aspects. Okay, just like a mother has 5 children, and each one has got his own nature, but they are not opposite. They are all coming from one source, and sometimes the family can be very, very harmonious, but also there can be quarrels also in their family. So the quarrels are at the lowest level. At the highest level, perfect harmony. Okay, that's what he's saying. Then we go to the next sentence. For behind the appearance of these opposites are their truths, and the truths of the eternal are not in conflict with each other. Even in the physical world, when our consciousness rises, we can see that behind the good and the bad, behind the cold and the hot, behind the darkness and the light, there is a truth which is harmonizing them. Even in the physical world, that's a divine presence. The divine presence is there in the physical world, but we don't see it. When you rise in consciousness, you can see it. Okay? Just like in daytime, the stars are there, but you don't see them. But at night you start seeing them. So different conditions you start seeing. You rise in consciousness, you start seeing the truths behind all these apparently conflicting opposites. That's what he's saying. Okay? But behind the appearance of these opposites are their truths. Behind. And the truths of the eternal are not in conflict with each other. Our minds and life's opposites, transformed in the supermind into their own true spirit, linked together and are seen as tones and colorings of an eternal reality and everlasting Anand. So they become tones and colorings. They are all essentially connected. They are only different aspects of the thing, of an eternal reality and everlasting. Supermind or gnosis is the supreme truth, the supreme thought, the supreme word, the supreme sight, the supreme will idea. It is the inner and outer extension of the infinite who is beyond space, the unfettered time of the eternal, who is timeless, the supernal harmony of all absolutes of the absolute. So, in other words, you look at each word, supreme word, the word with a W cap is the power to create. Okay? The power of creation of the divine. That's why it's used as a, and why is the word being used as a symbol? Because when you have an idea in your head and it remains unmanifested, that's the idea. But when you speak it out, you are using words. So the word is the symbol of that which is being manifested. The idea in your head becomes manifested only with words. That's why the word with a W cap is a symbol of manifestation. The symbol, the power to create. Okay? That's what he's saying. So that is there in the Supermind. We have seen already the power to create, but he is using different words to describe that now. The supreme sight. Okay. There is a drishti. Okay. The supreme will idea. Okay. So there is this supreme thought, the supreme word, the supreme sight, the supreme will idea. It is the inner and outer extension of the infinite who is beyond space, the unfettered time of the eternal who is timeless, the supernal harmony of all absolutes. So let's look at each one. In the lower level, our level, we are in space and in time. But at the highest level, it is beyond space and without time, unfettered time of the eternal, who is timeless and spaceless. The super harmony, the supernal harmony, at our level, there seems to be opposites and disharmony. At the highest level, total harmony of all these things. So, very, very clear, very clear description of the supermind in 2 paras. Okay, so 8:34, we can stop here now. And next time we will read the next one. But I have a note on. Okay. See, very interesting. There is a question of interpreting Sri Aurobindo handwriting. The supreme sight, here it is sight, and in the SABCL, it is light. If any of you have the SABCL, you would have thought that I am reading wrong. Okay. Now
Yes,
see.
I am also supreme light.
So S and L, it depends on how Sri Aurobindo is writing it. If the L is a capital L, does it not resemble a little S? Just see. Yeah, if you write S capital and L capital, you will see that there is a similar form. And that's what the difficulty in deciphering Sri Aurobindo's language, words, handwriting. Okay, so I've put a note there. Sight in CWSA, light in SABCL. SABCL was the first reading, and the sight is the second reading. When they very closely look and enlarge the handwriting on the computer and look at it very clearly, then there is a tail. In L, the S is there, but there is a little tail at the bottom. So that tail was also there. So they have made it light sight. It is not, the tail is not there probably in the SABCL.